Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Shannon Dicus, the Sheriff of San Bernardino County. That's SHANNDICUS. As part of their oath, a law enforcement officer swears to protect the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. As it pertains to the First Amendment, we protect those who legally express their right to protest their government. For the last several months, we've been involved in an investigation in conjunction with our partners from the Pomona Police Department, the Fontana Police Department, the Upland Police Department, and the Victorville Police Department, which I am the contracted law enforcement service provider. During this investigation, the group you will hear about violated the law extending beyond the First Amendment to violence. Victims of their actions made reports to the agencies present here. Those reports have been investigated, search warrants and arrest warrants have been sought, and unfortunately these victims still live in fear. Earlier this morning, we executed these warrants. This group manipulates videos and photos on social media in an attempt to make them look like they are protectors of underrepresented people. However, they use racism to threaten and intimidate their victims, causing them to get on their knees to beg for forgiveness while still assaulting them. What this group does is not protected by the First Amendment. It's illegal, and unfortunately some elected officials have tacitly criticized the local democratic process, which emboldens this group. In San Bernardino County, myself, our local police chiefs, to include the Pomona Police Chief, and the deputies and officers that work for our departments will always continue to uphold the law and protect its citizens from this type of unlawful behavior. This group is not about substance for the human condition, but rather clickbait for cash. I now want to introduce the Victorville City Police Department's Detective Sergeant Tony Romero, who oversaw this investigation, to explain the course of this investigation to you. Tony?
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. My name is Sergeant Romero. I'm assigned to the Victorville Sheriff Station. This investigation began in late September when we investigated a brutal assault that occurred at a protest in the city of Victorville. The investigation quickly became a multi-agency investigation when we discovered our group of suspects were responsible for violent acts during other protests in both San Bernardino and Los Angeles counties. The investigation stemmed from multiple incidents involving this group, to include the assault that occurred in our city on September 24th, 2023. Throughout the course of our 10-week investigation, investigators positively identified 8 active suspects belonging to this group of activists who committed the crimes of assault with a deadly weapon, false imprisonment, conspiracy, convicted felon in possession of a firearm, and other offenses currently under the review of the District Attorney's Office. This morning, all 8 suspects were arrested in multiple cities and multiple counties. The suspects were identified as Eden Alex Enamorado, 36 years old, out of Upland; Wendy Lujan, 40 years old, out of Upland; David Chavez, 28 years old, out of Riverside; Stephanie Amasqueta, 33 years old, out of San Bernardino; Gillett Acevedo, 30 years old, out of San Bernardino; Edwin Pena, 26 years old, out of Los Angeles; Fernando Lopez, 44 years old, out of Los Angeles; and Vanessa Carrasco, 40 years old, out of Ontario. And you can refer to their images on our poster board to my left. During the arrests and search warrants, evidence was collected to corroborate the crimes that were committed. The evidence will not be released to protect the integrity of the investigation at this time. Thank you and appreciate you for being here. I will now turn it back over to the Sheriff.
Thank you, Tony. As Tony mentioned, this is an ongoing investigation, so there may be some questions that we can't answer. The DA is here with me, Jason Anderson, to also be able to answer questions related to the prosecution. So I apologize in advance. We may not be able to answer them, but we will take a few questions. Yes, sir.
Why is the one guy in the middle, his picture's bigger? I understand he's the ringleader. Can you explain his involvement in this?
Absolutely. Tony?
Yes, Eden Alex Emirato is the organizer of this group. He is the one that coordinates events in which these other suspects partake in.
And then there was an assault, you said, I believe, on the September 23rd, or the incident that happened in your city. Can you describe more about that particular incident, what happened, and what's the timeline?
At this time, it's still an active investigation, and I can't disclose that information at this time.
So you can't say like who was assaulted? Was it law enforcement? Was it victim? Something like that?
They were members of the community of Victorville.
Any other questions related to the arrest or prosecution?
You had said clickbait for cash. Can you elaborate?
Sure. It appears that during this investigation, videos of the truth were manipulated and put out to the public to make it look like an underserved population was being represented, kind of Robin Hoodish, when in fact there was felonious activity behind this. They have a large following. The more clicks they get, the more money they make as it relates to how the systems that they operate within work. They're more about not substance for what their issues are, but really getting that clickbait and making money off of that, just like any internet influencer does. Folks, thank you for being here this afternoon. We appreciate it. We'll go ahead and conclude the current press conference. If you have any questions, please route them through the public affairs, and if we're able to answer those questions, I'll be more than happy to do so. But thank you for covering this story.
All right, so let's take